Hey guys, how's it going? This is Madam Mo here, and got a request from Sharon Fraser that she would like to see a video of how I made these flowers that I'm working on right now, so it's not complete, but for Emma. And Emma's headdress, we were going for the elven circlet, which I can show you also, but I will not be doing a video covering on how to make this just yet. The actual circlet, and as you can see, I'm not done yet. But basically, for the circlet, I just used 19 gauge steel wire and some silver floral wire. This was my first shot at ever making something like this. And when I go to make another one further down the line, I'll be sure to make a video and show you guys how I went about it. I'm not an expert. I just, followed this one website and how to do this. I use that as a crash course, and I really like the results. So I can't wait to make another one. But anyway, we're going to be focusing on the flowers. And as you can see, when I posted about an hour ago, I showed you guys what I was working on so far. And now this is kind of deconstructed again. In the picture, we had, a whole bunch of like petals and stuff sticking out, but it's not secured yet. So I pulled them out just so I can show you guys what I'm doing here. So if anybody remembers the crazy fad that was going on about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than that, at least it was a year ago when I learned about it, those little flowers, they called nail polish flowers. You take some wire, you make a cute little flower, and then you just dip it or brush the nail polish across it, and boom, you have nail polish flowers. I really like that technique, and I thought it was cute, and it was inexpensive. And, when I was talking to Emma and we were coming up with ideas on how to make her this unique elven headdress, I knew right away that, silk flowers were out. Foam flowers, maybe, but they just didn't scream, Lord of the Rings type elven, majestic art. So I shot her the idea of making these flowers. And at first I said, oh, we should do resin because I've seen how resin jewelry was done before. And yeah, pretty cool. But one, resin is very expensive. And two, resin doesn't necessarily give you the option to shape them. And I really, really, really wanted these petals. I can show you some right here. I really wanted them to be able to bend. And as you can see, like I can still shape this, before it was flat. And when all the polish and paint had dried, I could actually go in. It's very, very forgiving. I haven't pushed it to its limit yet, but as you can see how I just shaped that. I'm going to give you guys a quick video on how I made these petals. And basically, when you're all done, you can construct them any way you want. Make sure you leave some extra here so you can work with it when you go to put them together. Okay, so basically all you're going to need is, I have some 19 gauge steel, galvanized steel wire, and this works the best. Don't waste your time on aluminum because it's too soft. It will bend, it will crack, it'll break, and I just don't like the durability of it. So galvanized steel wire, and for her petals, I just used 19 gauge. When I did her headdress, I used something much heavier, 16 gauge. Now, if you're trying to make these petals or whatever shape have you big and you really need them to be strong or whatever, go for possibly the 16 gauge. But for the small stuff, the delicate stuff and everything like that, I just, I'm going to shoot and say, stick with the 19. Again, it's my first time doing this, so bear with me. Another thing you're going to need is sandwich bag. Okay. This was not my invention by any means. Okay. I get a kick out of watching a lot of the DIYers on YouTube and even on the web on just different unconventional ways to make costumes and stuff. And I think it's the medium that really grabs my attention. And so when I was trying to figure out how to make this work and get the same effect, kind of like what resin art would give me, I went back to thinking, oh, the nail polish flowers, those worked. But how am I going to make them big? They have to be, that wire has to be so close together to make sure the glue, wood glue or nail polish or whatever you used to make them stick within the petals. Well, I found a website that talked about, the nail decal art that you can just paint right onto this plastic stuff. You peel it off, you base coat your nails, you drop the, your pretty little picture or whatever design that you just painted on there, and then you just kind of like clean up your nails. As you can see, I don't do my nails. I don't have a profession that allows me to keep decent nails. So, I'm a little lame in that department. But anyway, you're going to take a sandwich bag and, you know, you want to open it up, cut off the edges, and open this up so you get 2 squares or as many squares as you need, or what have you, or get the big freezer bags. Any of that kind of plastic will work. I haven't tried other ones. I'm pretty sure that the stuff you use, like sleeve protectors, could work. But yeah, so I'm just going to show you what I did. I used sandwich bags. Now, what we did, or what I should say I did, was that I took, I'm going to reuse one of my old sheets, no point in wasting them, and just make sure there's no fingerprints on them or anything like that in the center where you're going to be putting your flour. And so what I did was I just took some regular old pliers and the 19 gauge galvanized steel wire, and I just made a pedal. Now, I saw another video where these women were making their own resin earrings, and I thought they were very beautiful. And so this is where this technique comes in. She made a shape kind of like this would be the pendant that hangs from your ear, the shape, not this part. And, you know, she said that you want to like hammer it down, get it as flat as possible. Well, I don't have those tools, so I just bent this as best as I could to make sure that it falls mostly flat onto this sandwich bag. And now that we have that part, we're going to have fun with these nail polishes. I went ahead and I spent like very little money on this. Like we have our 90-second polish dryer. It came in a package like this from Big Lots. And, you know, just go crazy. You know, I bought this for 90 cents. I got this for $1 at a mom and pop dollar store. I went to a lot of places just to find the blues that I needed for Emma's headdress. You know, this one was kind of pretty. This too came from a little dollar store. And if you can go to CVS, they do make Wet n Wild still. And the thing is, it's on clearance, so 94 cents a bottle right now if you use your rewards card. And then I also, afterwards, when I was done doing the polish method, when we do more decorations and details later, just acrylic paints. It's pretty much all you need. And then when we do the final touch, we will be adding a couple coats of this ultra clear or ultra cover gloss. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and jump into the fun part. So you're going to make sure that this wire is flat. And like I said, I just used my hands and try to eye it and whatnot. As long as it's mostly flat, it worked for me. And I'm just going to go ahead and start grabbing these nail polishes. Now, one of the things that I will point out is that if you brush your polish on there, you will get streak marks, especially if it's this cheap, clear stuff. You have to be aware of that. But one of the things I did notice towards the end of my trial period of making the pieces for Emma was that, you know, just go in, and if it's cheap polish, just go crazy. Basically, you want the thickness to be like as if you put 6 coats of nail polish on. And the reason why I am opting out for this method, where you just pour a whole bunch in there and you're going to fill the entire inside of this leaf, is because about 6 coats, if you can imagine, it's the right amount that's not going to tear, and it'll have a lot of extra durability while still being flexible. So as you can see, I'm just pouring it right on in. And this is also kind of how you would do it if it were resin as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in. Now, one tip I will tell you right now is that you need to make sure you go in and make sure you get that polish to go right over the wire and even edge it. And see how I'm like kind of brushing it along the edges here. And the reason why I say that is because you want to make sure that that polish did seal over the wire. The last thing you want is that when you go to take this off the plastic, which is actually pretty effortless, you don't want it to break away from the metal. So just make sure you just go over the edge. And, you know, I think 1 or 2 coats of it should be fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I get all the edges here done and everything. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to brush a little bit more there. Now, before, what I was doing on Emma's was that I was putting a coat on, I was letting it dry, then I'd go back and add a different tint or whatever along the edges, the borders or whatever, to make it look more like a gradient. And the issue with that is that, you know, polish on top of polish. Or I should say wet polish on top of dry polish, you know, what happens is that your dry polish will be wet again because of the way the acetate reacts to each other. So to save the headache of ever having to do that again, I just went ahead and started adding gradients. Now, I want to do something a little different with this. I'm just going to put this along the edges, maybe just dab it in there I mean, you can even just, whatever, just splooge it on there, have fun with it. Okay, so as you can see, the first one I did was originally a clear polish, and I added a little bit of glitter to it. I added a couple drops of this really dark blue to it, and then I shook it up really good to get, you know, this kind of transparent, glittery, blue tinted polish. So it's not a solid, but this one was. And you know what? Heck, for fun, I'm just going to take a little bit of this high metallic, super fine type of nail polish I got. Again, cheap. This came from Big Lots. I think it was like $1 or $2 at most. But yeah, so as you can see, I'm really dripping. And yeah, I just popped it. But you know what? It's not the end of the world because it will go right back. All right. I'm going to get another drop here, maybe one there. It's like Bob Ross. So there's always happy accents. Always going to make something cool out of this. Now, now that I did that, you could take a toothpick or whatever. Like I said, any design you want to do on here is fine. Just think of like, what do you call it? Like, not oil painting. I forget. I'm sorry. I'm a little brain dead right now. I've been working nonstop. I'm currently working on 8 costumes for Labyrinth, and I'm really excited. And this is just one of the 8. And I haven't even thought about what I'm going to do for mine yet. So don't mind me if I lose track of my words here. But anyway, I was trying to find an example as to what this reminds me of and what kind of art this is. But anyway, I'm going to try to close them on here so you can see what I'm doing. This little, my daughter's tripod thing doesn't work that great. It's really stiff. As you can see, you can kind of check out all the colors I just kind of threw in there. You know, it's kind of like neat swirl glassy art. It's really cool. Now, once you have that set, and you'll see too, just if you can look really close to where the polish meets right up to at least halfway up the wire, and this wire is not very thick. That's about how thick you want it. Like I said, pretend like if you put 6 coats on. Now, only thing you have to do is just let this dry. So I have one drying already, and it's been drying only for like 10 minutes. And for that many coats, it could take 2 hours maybe, depending on what you have. If you have one of those blue lights you want to put on there, go for it, whatever floats your boat. I usually try to find other things to do, which I have plenty to do while these steps are going on. So sometimes I'm sure some people are like, well, is my other costume done yet? I'm like, yeah, it's getting there. But while something's setting or curing or whatever, I have to move on to another piece. So for instance, if this were Emma's costume and I had, you know, the couple dozens of petals drying like this, I would stop on hers and go right to work on someone else's, usually for Sabrina and Chuck or Robin Gage. And now I'm going to be doing more costumes for Kathy Ford and Steve, and then also Steve and Janae, and really excited. So I will get back to you guys momentarily with the dry version, and I will show you how it will peel off, how we'll trim up the edging and stuff like that to clean it up, and how to bend them. Okay, I'll be back.